Coming up on the next episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
Lynn Sanders returns with a powerful story of presence, energy, and inner listening. After a near-fatal appendix rupture, Lynn found herself in the hospital, physically weak, but spiritually alert. She shares how that moment opened the door to deeper healing and an unexpected sense of peace.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
You're now listening to Zuzu All Grown Up.
She's been featured in more than 20 films from the early days of film and television.
He is a psychotherapist and her loving husband.
Together, they are on a mission to brighten your day and your life.
It's a time to smile, a time to laugh, a time to expect more.
It's time to get inspired with your hosts, Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
It's time to meet Zuzu, all grown up.
Karolyn Grimes has made a lifelong commitment that is based on the profound belief that everyone deserves to experience their own wonderful life. Her husband, Dr. Chris Brunell, has long since joined her on this mission, bringing his own unique passion and insight. Together, their dedication reflects a deep desire to inspire others to embrace the profound truth that life is truly wonderful when we recognize and cherish the love and connections that are all around us. Join Karolyn and Chris to witness how one individual's life can inspire countless others, revealing the transformative power of one person who is determined to do good. As you connect with our inspiring guests, you'll realize that your own journey is also about self-realization, helping others, and earning your wings. Just like today's guest, you too have a unique potential to inspire and elevate those around you. Stay tuned. Another episode of Zuzu All Grown Up is about to begin.
Get ready for miracles. Get ready for Zuzu. All Grown Up.
Lynn Sanders is a writer, a coach, and a compassionate force whose life took a turn she never expected. Not every wake-up call is loud. For Lynn, it arrived as a quiet warning. A sudden illness made her pause, reflect, and reevaluate everything. Today, she shares how that moment of crisis became a turning point for trust, healing, and honoring the wisdom within. Lynn, welcome back. Karolyn, Dr. Chris, over to you.
I'm so glad that you're joining us once again.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Karolyn. I'm thrilled to be here.
I wanted to ask you about your near-death experience. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
A number of years ago, before this near-death experience, my colleagues and I created a nationally award-winning patient safety film called Things You Should Know Before Entering the Hospital. And this is based on research that medical errors and unnecessary infections in the hospital happens to be one of the leading causes of death. So you would think, since I helped in writing this video and helping produce it, that I would remember all those details of what do you need to know before entering the hospital. One of the key points in the film was, if you are in pain, you don't think clearly. You need an advocate at your side. A few years after the film was created, which was in 2005, my husband and our sons and I were on a family vacation in Colorado. And that last day I was feeling really fairly ill, but I didn't think much of it. And I thought I had food poisoning. That night, I was in such intense pain that I asked my husband to take me to the emergency room. I'd been in the bathroom for hours till 2:30 in the morning. So he took me to the hospital. And in a sense, he was my advocate, but he was so emotionally involved with concern over me that he wasn't thinking clearly. And I just figured I must have the flu. That's a normal thing to think of. And I told the doctors in the emergency room, I think I have the flu. And they just quickly diagnosed me as having gastroenteritis, a stomach bug, and gave me these little white pills for pain. They also said, if you don't feel better, come back in the morning. Otherwise, take these pills. And I didn't hear that first part. In my mind, all I heard was take the pills for pain. So we went back to the hotel room. And the next morning, I was in such pain, double over, that I said to my husband, you're going to have to drive the rental car because we were going to the airport in Denver to fly home to Chicago that morning. And I actually had told the doctors and the nurses in the hospital that I was flying back, but they didn't think much of it. We got to the airport. My son, Andrew, and my other son, Jordan, were there, and they helped me get to the bathroom because I kept thinking I must be constipated, that something like that must be wrong. But I had absolutely nothing in my stomach. And I heard that the plane was canceled, not once, not twice, but 3 times. I was really, really grimacing and doubled over at the gate. And the ticket agent even spoke to my husband and said, should she be flying? She doesn't look good. And my husband said, oh, she's fine. She's fine. Don't worry. We were at the hospital emergency room yesterday, but she's fine now. By the 3rd cancellation, I finally got it that I couldn't fly. And I lowered myself to the floor, the hard floor at the airport by the gate. And I just called out to my husband, Joel, I can't make it. And then I closed my eyes. The next thing I knew, there was a paramedic leaning over me. And I slightly fluttered my eyes open as I heard him say, it looks like she has a ruptured appendix, but she doesn't fit the profile. And I said, well, what's the profile? I was very weak. And he said, well, you're supposed to be much younger. I was kind of really out of it. And the next thing I knew, I was whisked by ambulance to the closest hospital, brought to the emergency room. They quickly diagnosed that indeed I did have a ruptured appendix. I would need emergency surgery. The doctor even said, if I had gone on that airplane, I wouldn't have made it because between the pressure in the airplane flying for those hours with a ruptured appendix, it wouldn't have been good. And I actually, in the hospital emergency room, I was in such pain and just so relieved to have some type of surgery. I made one call, like if you're going to have one last call to one of my best friends, Polly, just to say goodbye to her in case I didn't make it. And then I was out, and I woke up later in the hospital room, and they had all kinds of tubes and needles in me. They said I had toxins in my body and I had to stay in the hospital for a week. My husband and sons could stay for a day or two. They had to leave. And during that time, I was feeling extremely lonely and uncomfortable because the needle kept coming in and out of my arm and they had to keep reinserting it, which was quite painful. I just was crying going to sleep because I missed my mother so much. She had passed away a few years prior to this incident. And I felt that she or my guides or angels around me had helped save me because I had intended fully to go on that plane. In fact, later my rabbi even said that the number 3 is an intentional number. If something happens in 3s, it was meant to be. So I was meant not to go on that plane. One of those nights when I was alone, I had this vivid dream, and it was my mother singing a song to me. I never heard the song before. But the beginning of the words sounded like they were from the Bible, and I had never heard them before. My mom used to love to write poetry, just as I love writing poetry, and she'd make up different words to songs. So I heard her say and sing, "This is the day that God hath made, a day to spend with you. This is a day, a special day, a day for me and you. Yesterday, my troubles lay heavy on my heart, but now it's clear to me where'er we be, we're never far apart. This is the day, a beautiful day, a day to spend with you. This is the day, a wonderful day to celebrate, celebrate, celebrate with you." So I woke up at 5:30 in the morning and I quickly wrote down all those words. And just after I finished writing the words, the nurse comes in. She raises the blinds in my room and she says, "Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day." And my mother used to say those exact words when I was a little girl in Chicago. She just added the words in Chicago. She would say, "Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day in Chicago." So right now I'm getting the goosebumps. I don't know if you're feeling them, but to me, those goosebumps are a sign from the other side that our loved ones are with us. My mother's still here. And when I went home to Chicago a week later by myself, and the hospital took very good care of me, I had an artist stencil the words, "This is the day," over the kitchen window. And I found out later by calling one of my mother's close friends that that's actually from the Bible. Okay, this is the day that God hath made. So, right, she used those words and she added her own words to them because, you see, my mother passed away from a sudden heart attack at the end of 2004. So when her words were that yesterday my troubles lay heavy on my heart, it made me think, oh, she was, very upset because she had suddenly passed away without being able to say goodbye to any of us. It was just a shock. And now it's clear to me where'er we be, we're never far apart. So to me, that was a confirmation that our loved ones are still with us. We just have to be open to receiving that loving energy. And I know that she's with me, and as well as everyone listening, if you have any loved ones on the other side, I felt it was my gift to let you know that when you love someone, love never dies, and their spirit always is there for you. Oh, one other thing, that the next night she did come to me one more time. She was sitting at a little kitchen table, drinking coffee with my husband's grandmother. And my mother and my husband's grandmother were not close in real life, but they were sitting there kind of like watching over me. And I was a kid coming down the stairs from the upstairs to peek in and hear what they were saying about me. But they shushed me away and they said, go back to bed, So it was like another sign that I was being watched over.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
I think if we all can just take a perspective of life as being a continuum, and that our spirits are here to do our best while we're on the earth plane, and that our loved ones are with us, we can live in a more happier, fuller state.
It's certainly comforting to believe in that.
I want to share one other thing that relates to my mother and living consciously today. This happened before the incident of the near-death experience. My mom passed away December 16th, 2004 at 11:30 p.m. Chicago time. I was having such a hard time just dealing with that grief. At that time, I wasn't as conscious about how our thoughts and our beliefs affect our physical lives. At that time, it got so bad, the grief. I feel very close to my mother all the time, that I didn't know if I wanted to continue living. And my back responded where I could barely walk. I could hardly sit. And I went to a grief counselor who would listen to me, was very concerned. I'd have to lie on the floor because I couldn't sit in a chair just to be somewhat comfortable. So I went to different people to try to help my back situation, not realizing that my thoughts and beliefs about not wanting to live was affecting me physically. I was led to an energy healer, and I didn't even think he could help me, but I didn't know who else to go to because I had tried all the doctors and chiropractors and osteopaths, different types of healers. And I said to this man, do you really think you can help me with this back issue? And he said, yes, I think I can. I figured I had nothing to lose except just some money, and I wanted to get healed. So I went to him, and he said to me, do you want to live? I said, well, I guess so. And he knew that my mother had just passed, and he said, how would your mother want you to live? You could be dead on the inside and alive on the outside. How would you like to honor your mother's memory? And that just shook me up. So I knew my mother would not want me to be living life as if I was dead on the inside. And I said, I want to honor her memory by living fully. And he said, okay, then we can heal you. And his energy work was based on real studies by a Japanese scientist, Masaru Emoto, who wrote about the power of water. There's a series of tests, of studies that were done on water and thought. So they took droplets of water on a slide, the scientists did, and then certain droplets of water, people were told to think negative thoughts. That's anger, hate, fear, envy, jealousy, anything negative. And then other droplets of water, people were told to think positive thoughts, love and gratitude and happiness. And later they studied with a special microscope those droplets of water. And guess what they saw? The droplets of water that had negative energy looked pockmarked and ugly. And they have pictures from the electron microscope. And the droplets of water that had positive, loving energy, those droplets had beautiful crystalline star shapes. The energy healer realized that our bodies are mostly water. Did you realize that? So that's why we are affected by those people we surround ourselves with. If we're around positive people, our bodies are subconsciously picking up that positive energy, and the science behind it is like energy attracts like. If you're positive as you both are, you're going to attract positive energy into your lives, and you will be feeling good as a result. And the opposite is also true. If you put yourself around negative people, they can drain you and you can feel negative. So because of that knowledge, I suddenly became aware of the power of my thoughts. And every day I focus on putting in positive thoughts, because the Google research shows that most of our thoughts default to the negative. This is how our subconscious works. And we need to work on our inner selves on a regular daily basis. As Zig Ziglar would say, he liked to say, I like to give my mind a bath. If you've given your body a bath one day, does that mean you're clean for the rest of your life? So since that time of awakening, really for me, I have chosen to live consciously so that I can be more of living in a higher state and give more to others.
That's so invigorating. My goodness. I have to tell you, I worry about Chris because he's a psychologist. I just don't see how he doesn't absorb all that. And I just think it's remarkable, but he has learned not to do that.
Well, it's about what you're talking about, living life consciously, being able to be present in the here and now, being conscious of how we're feeling. Are we anxious? Are we depressed? Are we happy? And quite frankly, there's a tendency to want to run away from our problems or to hide them, and rather than just allow them to be and to be conscious of it and to be able to address it. But you were saying something that I think is so important, and I think that healers, as people that are trying to help the suffering of others, is to be cognizant of what it is that we are putting out there. What are we sharing with other people? But I think many of us are looking outside of ourselves for answers, but a lot of that is just, it's already there. But what you're talking about here is right along those lines as far as being able to be living a life consciously. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
Start your morning right with premium coffee roasts available at ZuzuNetwork.com and drink them in your Zuzu All Grown Up coffee mug. Also perfect for tea and hot chocolate.
Stay inspired throughout the day with the same gratitude journal used by Karolyn and Chris, and check out t-shirts, hats, books, Christmas keepsakes, and more at ZuzuNetwork.com/shop.
Join Zuzu's network today at ZuzuNetwork.com/join.
Karolyn is creating an international network of aspiring angels, everyday people who believe that they can help make the world a better place by making life better for even just one other person.
Let us know you want to earn your wings at ZuzuNetwork.com/join, and Karolyn and Chris will send you inspirational material to support you in your journey.
We're back with more Zuzu All Grown Up.
Just so you know, when this energy healer finishes working with each client, he actually goes and washes his hands. It's like getting out that negative energy. And I understand my husband just retired from dentistry. He may do some work part-time, but he was, inches from people's mouths all day and picking up all their negative energy of worry and fear. So I think that to get rid of that, it's like toxic energy, you have to have a little space. And I don't know if Chris could give yourself a little space between clients or at the end of the day to do some self-development practice, whether it's some deep breathing exercises or meditation or affirmation. We all absorb negative energy from even the media, so we can step away from it and choose our thoughts. And this ties in now with what you wanted me to address, Chris, which is how do we live consciously? I feel that we're led to people. I'm so grateful to have been led to both of you through a higher purpose, through a higher cause, that I was led to you. And it's so interesting about that. When we choose our thoughts, we can then affect our feelings, and our feelings affect our actions, which result in our outcomes, our results. So a number of years ago, I was led to a man named Hal Elrod, and I mentioned him to you, I think, privately a while ago. And so Hal is an author and an international speaker, and he survived 2 near-death experiences. And he realized between those two experiences that he was very depressed. One was a near fatal car accident, and one was leukemia. He was feeling so depressed. A friend of his said, "Why don't you go jogging? Maybe you'll feel better." And he actually did. And then, just to preserve his own inner health, he Googled, what do successful people do to stay happy? And he found out that they do different spiritual practices. And he decided no one had done all 6 before, but to help himself, he put all these 6 together into an acronym of SAVERS, which stands for silence, that's meditation, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. And he ended up writing a book about it called The Miracle Morning, because he decided that he'd get up earlier every morning to do these 6 practices, even if it was just 1 minute each. And he created an app, and I use this app every day, and I feel better on the inside. And I feel like I have also been able to transform my life and live more consciously because I'm putting in positive thoughts. I've committed it to myself every day, going through these practices. Okay, once in a while I might miss a day, I have to say, but typically I do them and I feel good, and it's on my phone. And Hal Elrod makes himself available to people. You could even Google him, Hal, ELROD.com, and find out about him. I'm not being paid to say this, And I listened to his podcasts, and one thing he said that really stood out, and I don't know if he got this from someone else, but he said, you can choose to be the oasis of peace in the sea of chaos. So here's Chris exposed to the sea of chaos. You can choose to be that oasis of peace, and it helps by doing these practices. He has millions of followers all over the world. His newest updated book, The Miracle Morning, is an international bestseller, and he's a giving person. So I've been inspired by being around people, just learning from people like that. And I think the big awakening really was between my mother's sudden passing and having that near-death experience. I recognize that we all only have so much time on this earth plane. So we need to think about, how do we choose to live our lives? They say the word present is actually a gift that we've been given. And so how do we choose to use that present? And how dedicated are we to making our dreams come alive? So many people have dreams and they've buried them because they don't even dare to try to reach their dreams, or they feel like it's not going to be worth it. And it has been said that the worst thing is when you pass away, to have all these regrets that you didn't really live your life, that you were just going through life existing. So I've learned that, okay, in order to really live life, we have to be willing to risk. I also do play piano and learned of a piano program called Simply Music. The founder of that program, Neil Moore, was the one who introduced me to Hal Elrod, because a lot of leaders get to know each other. And through his program, I've learned to improvise and create my own songs. I had a degree in music education, and I felt, because, you only know what you know, I always felt like you have to be having a special gift to compose music, even though I've been playing since I was 5. And then all of a sudden I learned through Simply Music that you don't even have to read music. You can learn different patterns on your fingers, just as we learn to speak a language before we read. In music, you can speak music by learning patterns first and read later. So I started creating my own songs, and it's so fulfilling. So on the side, besides having my Difference Makers media business where I help people tell their stories to build their impact, I have a select number of Simply Music piano students. It's not through the corporation. They're all my own students, but I use their method, and I pay the organization a royalty fee for every student. And I help students become free to express themselves and not worry if they make a mistake, There's no one judging them. And that's really an analogy to life. Do you step outside of your comfort zone and decide you're going to be willing to go after your dreams, or do you just pursue a living and not really live?
I play drums. It's a way of expressing a part of us. How do you give yourself permission? How can we decide that it's okay to think outside of the box, to take chances, to do things that maybe we're uncomfortable with, that it's okay to make mistakes? In fact, if you don't make mistakes, you're not living, really.
Our older son Jordan plays drums. And what I love about drumming is you are learning to improvise all the time, right? You're not just
Yeah.
reading a book. That's
Right.
why they see piano has been taught improperly for centuries, because people are taught from the beginning they have to coordinate their hands and the rhythm and the notes. And our brain is not naturally a multi-thought process
Right.
machine. We're single thought process, and we're taught at the beginning of piano just to read, which is not natural. When you learn music, it's a language you play first. I always envied the fact that our son could learn all these intricate rhythms, and in piano, you'd start out with just simple things because you were trying to do too many things at one time. So it's great to be able to give yourselves permission, anyone, to go do something new. I didn't know about Simply Music, so I didn't even want to try to teach them piano because I didn't know the best way. So our son, Jordan, our older son, started out banging on pots and pans.
Yeah.
And our younger son, Andrew, was always running around, and I wanted him to quiet down. So I got him into learning violin through the Suzuki method. Both of them still play, and Andrew also learned guitar. Jordan does play with a band. He lives in Croatia with his wife, who's Croatian.
Oh,
And Andrew is with us, and he plays violin. And we used to do a lot of duets together. So I think everyone needs music in their lives. It's a way of expressing yourself from the heart.
Yeah.
And we're all innately musical, even if you think you're not, because we all walk in a rhythm, we talk in a rhythm, and we even brush our teeth in a rhythm. If you wouldn't mind, I would like to share an original song I wrote about keeping your dreams alive on the guitar. After my 20-year journey on and off of attempting to self-publish my first children's book, a song just came up in my mind, and the words came first, and then I created it. I've sung it when I've done book presentations, because my background is in education, in music education, actually, before I focus on writing. The chorus is basically, keep your dreams alive, keep your dreams alive. Doesn't matter what it is, just keep your dreams alive.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
To find out more about the organization featured in today's episode or a previous episode, and to learn more about how you can help, go to zuzunetwork.com/beanangel.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Affordable healthcare is better than ever. And right now, there are more carriers and plans to choose from. If you're between 18 and 64 years old with a household income of $25,000 or less, this message is for you. Right now, the government's Affordable Care Act is available for individual and family health coverage plans with little to no cost to you. Don't gamble your health. Call Health Care for All. 70% of callers qualify for a zero-cost healthcare coverage. See if you are one of them. Call now. Our agents are standing by to help you get the health insurance plan you and your family needs and deserves. If you're uninsured or struggling to afford your current health insurance, help is just a phone call away. This is not Medicaid or Medicare. This is the marketplace with the largest selection of healthcare plans from the Affordable Care Act. To find a plan that's right for you, call 800-788-2406. That's 800-788-2406.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and don't have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you don't pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call if you've been injured in an auto accident. Call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Auto accident.
Zuzu's book club features recommendations from Zuzu herself.
on books she loves and thinks you will love also. All of the books that the club reads, fiction and nonfiction, are inspirational and uplifting. Folks, this is a life-enhancing club to be part of. You can sign up for free at zuzunetwork.com/book club. That's zuzunetwork.com/book club.
Today's book club pick is Adventures in Ecuador, Diary of a Volunteer, by our guest, Lynn Sanders. Based on real events, this vibrant children's book follows an imagined diary of Lynn's son, Andrew, as he joins his family on a volunteer healthcare mission to Ecuador with Causes for Change International. Through Andrew's eyes, we experience the joy, surprise, and courage that comes with serving others. You can get your copy on Amazon.
This is Zuzu, all grown up.
Each day when you wake up, wondering what to do, let me share some advice. Here's what I'm telling you. Keep your dreams alive. Keep your dreams alive. Doesn't matter what it is, just keep your dreams alive. Babies crawl before they walk. What happens when they fall? They pick themselves up from the ground and they feel 10 feet tall. Keep your dreams alive. Keep your dreams alive. Doesn't matter what it is, just keep your dreams alive. Every road has ups and downs, so take a friend along. And as you keep on traveling, you'll want to sing this song. Keep your dreams alive, keep your dreams alive. Doesn't matter what it is, just keep your dreams alive. Keep your dreams alive, keep your dreams alive. Doesn't matter what it is, just keep your dreams alive. Keep your dreams alive. Keep your dreams alive.
You are a multi-talented woman, that is for sure. Have you had any other experiences that confirm your understanding of the spirit world?
Oh, yes, I have. If you look at life as being an ongoing continuum and that we're here on Earth plane for a limited time for our life lessons, but I like to believe that we've had more than one life. And I may very be possible, Carol and Chris, that we all met each other at some other time, in another lifetime, because when you feel a deep connection with someone, it's often that our souls are recognizing each other, and that's beyond thoughts. And I want to give credit to a man who's no longer on the earth plane right now. He was a dear friend who I met through the advertising world. His name was Jim Sawyer, and he could channel spirits and energy from the other side. And I met him when I used to work at a commercial music house. I wrote lyrics for commercials and trade shows for Fortune 500 companies. And I was doing sales for the company. And I called on him as a creative director at J. Walter Thompson. And I was approaching the idea of selling really as making new friends. That's the way I was thinking, I'm having a new person to meet. So I sat down with him, and instead of playing our company's music demo tape, I just started talking to him about poetry because I had just written a poem and I was so excited. And he was also a poet. We spent an hour talking about poetry. And then I said, I'm supposed to be here to show you some music. So can I take an extra 5 minutes and play this demo tape, which was on a reel-to-reel machine? We became great friends. I don't even remember if he gave my company business or not, but I invited him to come over to our home and I introduced him to my husband. And he had a Ouija board. And he used to actually channel energy through the Ouija board and taught my husband how to put his hand on the piece that moved. He said, it's not good just to use this Ouija board because you don't want to let in negative energy. And we focus on putting ourselves in a white light of like divinity and focus on bringing in positive energy, just because there are people that you might see on the street who you don't want to hang out with. Well, in the spirit world, there might be energies you don't want to hang out with either. He would relay these wonderful, fascinating messages to us from the other side. And actually, I told my mother about it at that time, and she was very interested. And she told us a book called Many Lives, Many Masters. I don't know if you've heard of that book.
Edgar?
Yeah.
Dr.
No.
Brian Weiss, who was a traditional doctor, and he was working with a patient on hypnosis. And all of a sudden, other information started coming through her. I think she may have been wanting to stop smoking or something, but it was another life that was coming through, and he documented everything. So my mother recommended reading that book, which opened us up to the whole idea of spirits and the spirit world. And so through Jim, he helped work with us and open us up to signs. And so when my mother had suddenly passed and I was going through a long grieving process, I would find coins on the ground. And my mother used to say that when she found a penny on the ground, she would look up at the heavens and say, "Thank you, Mom," because of the song Pennies from Heaven. She felt it was her mother, which I think it probably was, coming to acknowledge her. So then when my mother passed away, I would not only find pennies, but I'd find sometimes nickels, dimes, quarters. And again, someone might say, well, that was just coincidence. And you could choose what you want to think about things, but I would find them sometimes when I most needed them, or I'd go in my car and there would be a favorite song of hers that was playing right at that moment. Recently, I heard a song my father used to sing, Some Enchanted Evening. And I'd hear that and I'd say, okay, I'm thinking that maybe that's my dad just saying he's here. So I think it comes down to also interpreting what happens in our lives when we live consciously. Do we want to just think of these events as just coincidences? Or do we want to maybe be open to the idea that we're getting a sign?
It's a message.
A small one is I see the numbers 111 all the time. Like you said, that there's certain people or situations that just will arise at times when you need it. Some real soul searching there as far as how to honor her memory and how to move with the grief in your life. And I think that is a beautiful way of honoring her and sharing that with the listeners here, how one is able to deal with the loss of someone that you love so much.
We all go through stages of grief. There's Kubler-Ross who wrote about that. So now it's been more than a decade. And I feel like I take my mother with me. I'll wear a piece of her jewelry, or I call her in my mind to stay with me when I need her there. So I feel like she isn't gone really. She's gone from the physical plane. When it's the immediate passing, it's so sharp. The pain is different than over time. You can choose, as that energy healer said, to honor someone's memory and adjust. I had another experience you asked about. I wanted to share. A very dear friend named Roland Takaoka, who was my wingman for my video interviews. He had 3 strokes, and he was the happiest man you'd ever meet, even though his whole right side was paralyzed. He found me after I did a video interview of a disabled speaker. And Roland was so kind, and he said, I'd like to help you do the tech work because that's not my strength. And people didn't know that he was sitting in a wheelchair and paralyzed because you didn't see his back, you didn't see the below his waist. However, on August 23rd, 2018, he suddenly passed away from a 4th stroke. And I was devastated again because he had become a very close friend. He lived in California, and my husband and I had visited him and his wife several times in person. We got to see him, and it's just wonderful when we saw him. So when he passed away, I happened to be helping out at my husband's dental office just at the front desk. My husband saw me sobbing. He said, "You can't stay here at the front desk. You've got to go." I went to my friend Polly's home, and she didn't have the internet signal working, or the phone. I couldn't get the signal, so I sat outside on this little cement stoop to call my husband, and I was holding the cell phone in my right hand, and I look at my left hand, and there's something black on my wrist. I thought, could it be plastic? And what is this black thing on my wrist? And I started looking closely. It was a black butterfly with a gold stripe sitting on my wrist. That was the day when Roland had passed. And remember, he couldn't walk. And all of a sudden, I knew it was his spirit. And he was letting me know that he was okay, he was fine. And I've never had that experience before or since, that a butterfly just sat there for a couple minutes and it was communicating to me that he's okay. I could be comforted. If you're open to experiences, you can say, well, that was just coincidence, or you could say, well, that was a message.
I want to know how people can learn more from you.
Well, I would recommend going to my website, differencemakersmedia.com. And you can click on the contact button or book time to speak with me. I would love to connect with you because I feel we're all in this together. We're all part of humanity. And I would love to connect with more difference makers, people who are dedicated to making a positive difference in our world. My email is Lynn, Lynn, at differencemakersmedia.com, or you can go on my calendar on the website, connect with me, and let's talk. Let's work together to make this a better world, just like Karolyn and Chris are doing right now. We're all in this together. And I want you all to know that we all do make a difference. We just get to choose what kind of difference we want to make.
Thank you so much for joining us.
A heartfelt thank you to Lynn Sanders for joining us once again. Her story is a powerful reminder. If you've ever ignored your body's signals, pushed through the pain, or silenced your intuition, let this be your invitation to pause, to breathe, to listen. Until next time, this has been Zuzu, all grown up.
Do you know someone who is earning their wings? Someone practicing kindness and service to others? Perhaps an organization or initiative helping make the world we live in a kinder, sweeter place.
Or maybe you've witnessed the miraculous, the divine, the magnificent in some way in your life, and you'd like to share it with others. Go to zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory and let us know more.
You may end up being featured on an upcoming episode of Zuzu All Grown Up. That's zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
We hope you've been inspired to live your most wonderful life now and to help those around you do the same.
Remember, no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are, there are people who care about you and your life makes a difference.
It is a wonderful life.
Check out ZuzuNetwork.com for more on today's and other episodes, including transcripts and merchandise you won't want to be without.
New episodes are coming soon.
For transcripts of today's broadcast, go to ZuzuNetwork.com/transcripts.
Watch a video clip of today's episode at www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. Then click on the Reels tab from the top of the center of the page. Catch up on past episodes and discover currently premiering and upcoming episodes as well, and get helpful links and exclusive clips from our recordings. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up.
Zuzu All Grown Up with your hosts Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
Announcer and guide Seth Kennedy.
Executive producer Kevin R. Stillmock.
Coordinating producer Holly Ann Way.
Technical producer Stella Joel.
Managing producer Karina Filatova. A Wonderful Land production.
In collaboration with Radio Wonderful.